Hi everyone, this is Suman from the Phenomenal English, and today I'm gonna ask you something. I wanna ask you about life. What is life? To quote Shakespeare, life is a tale told by an idiot, full of sound and fury, signifying nothing. On the other hand, some wise men said, life is a collection of memories, be it good or bad. No matter how your life goes on now, the most significant, sensitive, and unforgettable phase of your life is probably your childhood. So today, let's celebrate life. Let's celebrate childhood. Talking about your past and childhood is always special. It makes you nostalgic, it gets you deep into the past, and you start reminiscing the elusive memories that you left behind long ago. Get ready to be nostalgic with me, because this is the time to learn to talk about past and childhood in English. To talk about childhood at any past memory, the most important weapon is to use the past tense correctly. Today we are going to learn the same thing by giving special reference to the use of past tense in conversation. In my first video, I discussed about how to introduce yourself in English, where we mostly use the present tense. If you haven't watched that video, go and watch the video right now. The suggestion must be there. So let's get started. You may start while talking about your childhood like this. Though many things of my childhood are blur now, there's still a good deal of memories that is always fresh in my mind. To talk about me, when I was young, our family had humble living. Me being the only child was always pampered. See, here I have used the sentence, me being the only child was always pampered. I used was, that is simple past tense. You know the beaver, right? And this is the past tense of the beaver, was. Before that, I said, when I was young. Again, the simple past tense, the beaver, was. That's how it is. So I used I was pampered. Not I pampered someone. It is I was pampered. So there is another grammatical thing used, that is voice, or rather a passive voice. In some other video I'll talk about voice. When something is done to you, you say in that fashion. You say I was pampered. Not that I pampered someone. It is I was pampered. Let's proceed further. We used to live in Kolkata. My father would take me to the school, and I still remember how much I cried on the very first day of my school. I still remember those weekends when my mother would take me to the park and I would play hide and seek with her. Let's have a very quick grammatical analysis. I said we used to live, I would go, I would play, this kind of sentences. So now, we used to live is past. It is actually called habitual past. Right, so we used to live there is habitual past. I would play hide and seek is again habitual past. Now to talk about a habitual past, that is a past which once used to happen at regular basis. So when you talk about habitual past, you take the help of used to or would. But there's a small difference between the usage of used to or would. Used to can be used regardless of a verb and object, but would can only be a verb, a normal action verb after it, and not a state. For example, I can say I used to be fat, but I can't say I would be fat. Then it would mean something conditional. That is different in meaning. So, you'd and used to both can be used to talk about a habitual past, but to talk about a past state, you can only use used to. And that's the difference between would and used to. Moving on further with my childhood experience. As I said, my mother would take me to the park every weekend. One day, it so happened that my mother was sleeping, and she was probably not in the mood to take me to the park. So I decided to visit the park on my own.
I somehow managed to slip to the doors and set off, but in the middle of my venture, I lost my way and started roaming here and there. I was scared, panicked, and was crying my heart out. Didn't know what to do. It was at dusk when I reached near a shop. Seeing me crying and dejected, some of the men there started asking me my name. Fortunately, I could tell them my father's name and a short version of my address that my mother toiled hard on to teach me so that I could get a school admission. But my mother teaching came handy in other way around, rather practically. Try to carefully notice the verb forms I used. I used it happened. I decided, right? I lost my way. I started roaming. All these are past form of the verb. When you talk about a past action you did before, you use subject, then the past form of the verb, then the object, what you actually did. In fact, he used the past continuous form of the verb when I said my mother was sleeping. My mother was sleeping. I used subject, then was aware, then the main verb with ing. That's how you use the past continuous form of the verb. You may use that while narrating a story or something in the past. Now let me tell you what happened after I reached home with the help of those kind-hearted men. When I reached home, my parents gave me a piece of their mind. Oops, what is piece of their mind? Piece of their mind is actually an idiom. When you give someone the piece of their mind, it means you rebuke that person, scold that person hard. Let me share with you my experience when I went there for my first school admission. In the interview of my school admission, the teacher concerned showed me a number in a color and asked me about the color itself. I, being used to intellectual and serious question, courtesy to my mother for sure, said it isn't just a color, it's rather a number and it's 2. The teacher later told my mother that this little fella can't even teach me, I suppose, and my admission was done. Now moving on to my childhood dreams. When we were mere children, we got a colored spectacle on our eyes, through which everything looks bright, colorful. I, being no exception, at first wanted to be a music director in my childhood. But soon after I had realized that it wasn't going to be my cup of tea, I switched my dream from music director to be a cricketer. That too was of no good, as I would find the ball too fast to face in the nets during practice. So I quickly switched over my dream to be an engineer. I had even pursued studying science for a while, but once again I realized that I have bitten more than I could chew. Courtesy to the 2009 release film 3 Idiots that taught me that I shouldn't be a bad engineer, rather the freaking best in the business that I like to do. That is why soon after 12 standards I switched to English literature, and here I am today, a communicative English and accent trainer. This is it. This is my childhood dreams and childhood stories that I share with you guys. And now it's time for the grammatical analysis that I again want to put light on. In the last segment, I used the kind of sentences called past perfect. I used sentences like I had pursued, I had realized. When you have two kind of actions going at the same time in the past and one being more past, you refer to that as past perfect. For example, if I say the patient had died before the doctor came, here the patient had died before, so it is more past, so we refer to it as past perfect, right? The doctor came, that is past too, but that isn't as past as the previous one. When you're comparing two sentences at the same time, you're referring to two sentences at the same time, and one being more past, you refer to it as past perfect. I have once again used an idiom here, that is to bite more than one can chew. I said I had bitten more than I could chew. So when you say one has bitten more than one can chew, that means to attempt something you're not capable of. So guys, I'm at the end of my lesson. I hope you liked it, right? You liked my childhood experience. And don't forget to comment in the comment section down below. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, do subscribe right now.
and press the bell icon beside that until it looks like this.